No, that's dragnets, chatter. No, let's be real, okay? Police disproportionately targeting black neighborhoods and creating fake crimes at the point of the individual to apprehend them and detain them, that's an ever-present part of this process.
We're getting new reports about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members. But
again, fake bullshit. This already happened. This happened under the, if you recall, this started in Aurora. The idea that there was like Trendaragua at one of these like low income housing properties. That's the new meta now. When the landlords want to do like mass evictions, they just claim Trendaragua, and the government comes in and does like a little sweep. Just this is where we're at. And the thing is, like, I don't know. I don't know the background of all the people that they apprehend, but I do know the area, and I do know the type of housing. And the reality of the matter is, even like the documented citizens in that low income housing are they don't exactly have a solid defense. They don't have a direct line to their local representatives. Like, they are literally some of the most marginalized people. They're black Chicagoans. So obviously you can just get away with doing endless cruelty to all of those people, both the citizens and non-citizens alike. All of this is completely unconstitutional. Like, I highly, highly doubt that they got individual warrants for every single, and not administrative warrants, judicial warrants. Because an administrative warrant is not the same as a judicial warrant. Like, you can't just enter someone's property, for example. But at this point, they don't even give a shit. At this point, they could just do whatever they want. When it comes to ICE, they could just like do Gestapo shit. In the United States of America, you have certain laws. Like, you are supposed to be protected from exactly this kind of nonsense. Even if you are an undocumented migrant, you do not have any obligation to open a door to ICE. Or at least that was the case. It's a Fourth Amendment violation for ICE to just come over and be like, open the door right now, or just like bust through your door without the proper warrant. Federal agents detained 4 children who are U.S. citizens during an ICE raid this week in South Shore, according to a report. The children were held until they could be placed in the care of guardians, according to the New York Times report, which cited the Department of Homeland Security officials. No further details were immediately available. This is not the first time federal agents have detained a U.S. citizen since launching Operation Midway Blitz and at large in September, seeking to increase immigration enforcement in Chicago and throughout Illinois. But it is the first time they've publicly acknowledged detaining American children during the operations. The raid happened early Tuesday at an apartment building at 7500 South Shore Drive. A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said federal agencies arrested at least 37 people in operations at the building, which they claimed is frequented by members of the Venezuelan gang Trendaragua. They also said in the process of doing this, that this was a collaborative law enforcement raid with like FBI and shit. And that if anyone had any sort of warrant whatsoever, they would also get arrested permanently. It had nothing to do with immigration whatsoever. Do you understand how psychotic that is? That's the federal government going to a black neighborhood and saying, go into those projects right there, bust down every door, throw out all the shit that people own, and arrest whoever has any warrant whatsoever. Like, you're detain and arrest every single person which is what they did, and then sort it out after the fact. Nothing new, though. Oh, get the out of here. No, that is new. Are you insane? Of course that's new. No, that's dragnets, chatter. No, let's be real, okay? Police disproportionately targeting black neighborhoods and creating fake crimes at the point of the individual to apprehend them and detain them, that's an ever-present part of this process. But no, going into an entire block and busting down every door, are you kidding me? That is absolutely a new thing. That's what is called a dragnet. That is unprecedented. It's kind of new. They did this in the 1980s. I mean, they blew up a city block in the 1980s as well. Okay? They did. I know. Oh, God. 1985 movie. Read up on it. Jesus Christ. No, dude. The local law enforcement going in and dropping C4 from a helicopter against the Africa family, okay, in Pennsylvania is not the same as, like, routine practice of dragnets. Like, how many other cities talking about? You're acting like it's not Gaza. That was similar to what Israel does in Gaza. Damn near identical, okay? And it was a horrifying incident. I'm not downplaying that at all. But that's like, there's a difference between that and the federal government openly saying, we are going to go into poor neighborhoods where we suspect black and brown people are living, and we're just going to bust everyone's doors, okay? You're comparing what used to be somewhat of a policy, like in the, the Tulsa City or, the Black Wall Street and numerous other black neighborhoods that were destroyed all the way up until, like, the civil rights struggle, and then the move to what this government is now openly sequencing out as, like, a normal part of his law enforcement, dragnets. Like, this is a new level. This is a new level of cruelty because they are saying this is normal law enforcement. Okay, this is a part of the normal mechanism of the law enforcement. You talked about Trump so much, you're starting to look like him. All right, hold on. I have to fix this thing. I don't know why I'm so orange. I don't know. Or purple. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's the white balance, not the exposure. Yeah, you're right. Hold on. Is that better? I feel like that makes me look orange now, but I'd rather look orange than purple. It's a little bit better, right? He's orange for an amazing reason. Okay, shut up. It's warm, at least. It's no longer purple. Purple was not warm. He's orange for an amazing reason. Are they breaking into all the homes, or the homes they have warrants for? No, all the homes. Bro, they went in. I don't know how to explain this to you. I mean, as Chris Hayes already did. They went in to low-income housing in an apartment complex after the landlord lied and said, oh, there's Trendaragua here, just like they did in Aurora, Colorado. Okay? They went into the apartment complex and basically busted down the doors of every single house and apprehended everyone. You look exhausted. What's happened? I am exhausted. Armed federal agents in military fatigues busted down their doors overnight, pulling men, women, and children from their apartments, some of them naked. Residents and witnesses said agents approached or entered nearly every apartment in the 5-story building, and U.S. citizens were among those detained for hours. When he got home from work, Jones said he entered his unit to find all of his electronics and furniture missing and all of his clothes and shoes thrown on the floor. Jones said he had no idea who took his belongings and hadn't received answers from the Chicago police. I'm pissed off, Jones said. I feel defeated because the authorities aren't doing anything. On Wednesday, toys, shoes, and food were still in the piles in the building's hallways. Property managers were seen throwing mattresses and broken doors into dumpsters. The DHS said federal agents with Border Patrol, the FBI, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and 7 people in the raid. DHS said some of those arrested are believed to be involved in drug trafficking and distribution, weapons crimes, and immigration violations. One of these things is not like the others. That is a crazy, crazy thing. Oh, some of these guys are believed to be involved in drug trafficking, and also some of them are just, they're in the process of getting their documentation. They're in the process of getting their paperwork.
What would you say to the people who are against your operations right now when you're going and doing something like this to keep the community safe? What would you say to those people who are saying, you know, calling you guys Gestapo, things like that as you're walking around. What would you say to them?
You know, I think the first thing I would say is, how about you live in the apartment next door to Tren de Aragua members that are trafficking and prostitution, guns, drugs.
Okay, except these people are living next to the people that you're claiming that they're Tren de Aragua, and they were like, they're fucking chill-ass neighbors, and they definitely weren't Tren de Aragua. But of course, once again, because the neighborhood where the undocumented and the documented alike live together is poor, it doesn't matter. It's poor and it's black. So you can just kind of say, well, you know, they're black, so obviously they also are criminals themselves. Do you get it?
And taking advantage of American citizens in a violent way. Why don't you live next to them and then see how much of a Gestapo or a Nazi we are?
What's the end game here? What's the goal?
Well, the end game tonight, obviously, is to make that area a safe place. We're going to remove all illegal aliens, especially if it's Tren de Aragua, but any and all illegal aliens, and that's going to make this community a safer place.
After the Des Moines incident, can we finally accept that immigrants aren't just Latino? I mean, I've been saying that, for the record. I've been saying that. Like, one of the first things that they fucking did was talk about the Haitians on TPS is like, as though they were undocumented migrants. That's why I was so mad when people are like, I'm tired. They said, Haitian migrants, refugee seekers that have temporary protected status and the proper work authorization to live and work on U.S. soil were illegal aliens that were eating cats and dogs. Okay, so obviously anyone who thought that this wasn't going to impact black people was maybe a little crazy. When has the American law enforcement ever been like, oh, you know what? We've moved past shitting on black people. We're just going after Mexicans only. Okay.
U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained too. The cops told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home. 37 people were ultimately arrested after agents separated children from their parents on the street. And if you're looking at this and asking yourself, how is this legal? That is the right question to ask. And it has kind of an answer. And to understand it, you have to go back to Los Angeles this summer, where federal immigration agents started pushing the envelope on orders from the White House. They raided Home Depot parking lots and Walmart lots, and they grabbed people they saw. Near one Home Depot, masked agents with batons grabbed Narcisco Barranco, who has lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years and has 3 sons serving in the Marine Corps. Agents beat Barranco on the ground, dislocating his shoulder before detaining him. In Van Nuys, agents raided a car wash, remembering this, sending patrons and workers scrambling before the 79-year-old owner, who is a U.S. citizen named Rafi, tried to ask them what they were doing.
That is when...
Remember what I told you guys yesterday at the protest where, like, there is this understanding in the United States of America that, like, you're not supposed to ask cops questions or bother them or assume that they're human beings at all. And in the process of treating them like human beings and being like, what the fuck are you guys doing? If you get your ass beat, most Americans will look at that and go, no, you deserved it. How dare you ask? How dare you ask a cop what he was up to? What are you, crazy? That's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. We are so servile, so subservient as a country, as our culture. Oh, you're just obstructing justice. You deserve it. Fucking ridiculous.
Was taken down by agents and eventually handcuffed. Rafi says he was injured in the process.
And they sit on me. This is my elbow about a week ago. And this is my arm.
Rafi says he and 5 others at his car wash were taken to a federal detention center downtown. We're still working to learn more about why they were detained.
And that man is not alone.
Look how you got my hand, you're twisting that. Literally based off of skin color. My homie was born here just because of the way he looks.
Agents kept stopping people they suspected of being undocumented immigrants for no reason other than they weren't obviously white. Like Brian Gavidia, the man you saw there, the 29-year-old American. He wasn't arrested, but he says agents went through his phone for 20 minutes and kept his real ID card. Now, these are obvious violations of people's core constitutional civil rights, their right to equal protection and the freedom from unlawful searches and seizures. And victims filed a class action lawsuit. And after an entire bench trial, a federal judge sided with those victims and ended the ICE sweeps. And in her ruling, she wrote, "It is illegal to conduct roving patrols which identify people based upon race alone, aggressively question them, and then detain them without a warrant, without their consent, and without reasonable suspicion that they are with status." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. An appeals court upheld her injunction against ICE. You have to stop doing this. And so the Trump administration took the issue to the Supreme Court. And lo and behold, last month, the court's 6-3 conservative majority voted to just let Trump and ICE continue for now, as the case works its way up, to use racial profiling in their immigration raids, halting the lower court's decision, saying, go ahead. Now, they gave no reasoning or explanation for their decision, silent, except Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote a short concurring opinion saying there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with racially motivated stops by law enforcement. Quote, "If the officers learn the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the U.S., they promptly let the individual go." Welcome to the era of what critics call the Kavanaugh stop.
Yep. That's what they're calling it. Stop and frisk on steroids. Universalized. I love the liberal assumption that the purpose of ICE has literally ever been anything else. I know. Don't get me fucking started. Dude, if an undocumented migrant is doing a crime, you fucking arrest them and you prosecute them. And depending on the type of crime, you either deport them or you throw them in jail. Okay? Just like anybody else. There is a reason why border crossings are treated differently than actual fucking violent crimes or any crimes at all. Because it's not like a real crime. It's one that could be dealt with through paperwork. Like not having the appropriate paperwork is not a fucking crime as severe as like murdering people or engaging in a hit and run. It's a permitting problem. It's a documentation problem. It is ridiculous and is treated as though it is the most heinous of crimes.
Carte blanche for ICE to continue violent, warrantless raids and stops all over the country to undocumented immigrants, lawful residents, and American citizens alike. Like Leonardo Garcia Venegas. You see him there being cuffed on a construction site where he was working. Vargas showed the agents his real ID as proof of citizenship, and they told him he was lying. And it took hours to get him out of custody, so not exactly expeditious. And then, get this, 2 weeks later, ICE arrested him again at another work site. He's now suing the government. The consequence of all this is what we're seeing now in the dead of night in Chicago. Dozens of federal agents raiding an entire apartment building with kids in it just to see what they can find. It's the most egregious abuse of our basic rights as Americans I've seen in a long time, maybe my lifetime. And it comes 2 weeks after Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem posted a hype video of another.
I agree with your sentiment, but I don't like the argument. Just because it's a document issue doesn't mean it's not bad. Like tax fraud is technically just a document issue, and a conservative could make the same argument about that. Proportional response. Proportional response. Proportional response. Mass apprehensions or any sort of detainment and deportation process is an inherently violent endeavor. In order to justify the state violence in this situation, you must first establish why it is a necessity. Are these guys actually doing a heinous crime? Tax evasion is a serious crime because tax evasion actually steals from the government coffers, okay? And if more and more people were to do it, or if anyone were to do it really, which by the way, who the fuck gets arrested for tax evasion in this fucking country? Holy shit. But tax fraud and tax evasion is theft from the government. You are stealing from your fellow citizens money that should be going back to all of these resources that must be funded. You do not have an argument for why these people should be apprehended and detained if they are not doing anything wrong. Okay? What is the argument? Republicans don't have a real argument as to why they have to mass detain and mass deport. This is the reason why they lie about the argument. They lie to make up a reason. And that lie is that these guys are all actually engaging in heinous crimes at alarming rates. Okay? This would be the equivalent of beating the fuck out of someone and ripping them away from their families for putting in a new bathroom without getting the proper permit. Okay? Putting in a new bathroom in your home without getting the proper permit could be damaging in the long run, because not having the proper issuance of the permit implies that like you might have had like substandard safety standards, and maybe later down the line you might actually rent that property to someone, and then that person can I don't know, fucking die on the toilet or something, right? Like whatever. There could be something that is harmful to the public later down the line, but even then it still doesn't justify this level of apprehension. No one would ever say this is totally appropriate. You are absolutely allowed to deport someone or detain them for building a fucking additional bathroom in their house without getting the proper permits for it. Okay? What the fuck was that example? I'm just trying to use an example that is also like relatively harmless.
Violent ICE raid with helicopters and grenades, this time on a house in the Chicago.
Hamas response just dropped. Breaking. Hamas's statement in response to Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza. We appreciate President Trump's efforts to bring an end to the war. We agree to release all hostages in order to achieve permanent ceasefire. We are ready to enter immediately into negotiations to discuss the details. We agree to hand over the administration of the Gaza Strip to a Palestinian body of independent, unaffiliated figures. Okay, that's literally what they originally said. Yeah, Hamas is also saying, yes, once again, we agree. And then Israel's going to say, no, not like that. Watch this space. Dying on the toilet, harmless? No. I'm trying to explain why, like, building something without a permit could be harmful in the long run, okay? And as to why that code exists, or as to why that, like, law exists. But under no circumstance would the treatment of someone who is engaging in this kind of action is going to be apprehended in a similar violent way and have all of their fucking human rights revoked in the process. And then everyone will go, yeah, no, that's actually appropriate. That's totally fine. There needs to be a degree of proportionality. And there is no proportionality here. It's just completely ridiculous. Dying on the toilet with the food deregulation, also true. You'll be seeing more and more of this. Many people are saying more and more people are going to be dying on the toilets now that the food is poison, because we crippled the FDA.
Suburbs. And guess what? 2 U.S. citizens were mistakenly arrested. You know, there's a reason the American founders put the right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures in the Bill of Rights from the start. Masked secret police profiling people and now targeting entire apartment buildings, making everyone prove they're not guilty of something, is the province of tyrants. It is the opposite of American. And I don't think Americans will stand for it, nor should they.
Protest.
Right now, they kind of are standing for it. Like, by and large, it's just like the areas that are impacted by these kinds of targeted raids that are actually showcasing discontent. But that's pretty much it. Jailing a pregnant woman while she's in labor because she sped to the ER. Libs are literally passing laws allowing this. Liberals have also participated in offering additional funds to the fucking ICE agents, okay? They have never clawed back. They have never even tried. They've never even attempted to claw back some of these restrictions.